Now we're doing Sunday shit, which is Dalet. Masha ain't Cain, Maisa mitzvahs, but mitzvahs are different. When you're doing a physical mitzvah, that the Maisa Elakim Hema, the act of Elakim Mamish, and I'm going to translate Elakim means Helam Atzmus. It says in Chassidus, Vitin L'chol Elakim, which is higher than Havaya. Okay, and therefore, when a mitzvah, which comes from a keli of Atzilus, comes down to be a keli and biyah, says the Rebbe, it's mimehusan v'atzmusan the chiteni yusan. It's the very, very essence of the chitenius of keli and Atzilus, which comes down. Now, I want you to understand that the word chiteni yusan means chitenius of pnimius hakelim. I mentioned to you before, Shaya, the pnimius hakelim are lakus. But the pnimis hakelim gufa, pnimis hakelim is teira, and eisius hateira. Chitzenis of pnimis hakelim is mitzvah. So when it's out of here, chitzenis yusam means chitzenis of pnimis hakelim, which is a lakus mamish. And I'll tell you what the word is. If mitzvahs came from pnimis, the pnimis hakelim, they would be like earth. They'd be dveikus nekeres. It's like eisius hateira. It has to be chitzenis. There's a mila in chitzenis of pnimis hakelim over pnimis of pnimis hakelim because chitzenis is the most of neyatzma. So on the one hand, it's a lakus. On the other hand, it's mitzvah of niyat because it's chitzenis of pnimis hakelim, and therefore, when you're doing a mitzvah, you're not bringing down a light; you're bringing down the mehus of that kli, and it doesn't change whatsoever. The downside is you don't feel it, but the upside is when you do a mitzvah, you're creating a physical thing which is actually kelim of atzilus. There's no such thing in the chilur rechimu. Okay, for example, an eseg in the Dalet Minim. In that physical esek Hashem manifests mehusan v'atzmusan the chesadim. Pnimi is the zah. There's the essence of the chesed, the pnimius of zah. But what does it mean? Pnimius of zah. V'hainu mebechinas chitzeni yusan. The chitzenius of pnimius of zah. Because the pnimius of pnimius of zah is not mitzvahs; it's teira. Okay, and therefore, when you're doing a physical mitzvah, you're being mamshech mehus l'mehus. The chitzenius of pnimius of kelim datzilas in tasiyah. It's known b'chol mitzvahs ma'asyos. What is achieved by doing any physical mitzvah? You're mamshech the chitenius of pnimis of kelim datzilos down here mamish. Okay, mashein kein ha'adam, as opposed to a person, even a person who's engaged in his bandus and avas Hashem and yiras Hashem, that afilu yesh neshama datzilos, even if the neshama comes from atzilos, and he's being misbinded to experience avas Hashem and yiras Hashem, still, since his neshama is in a guf. Therefore, it's no way he can find that it should be revealed down here in his nefesh. And to reach the very essence of the kelim of Zadat even the chitenius of pnimis of Zadat. Okay? Why not? Because in Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, which is what the neshama is engaged in, you're dealing with ruchnius, and ruchnius changes from world to world. The truth of Atzilus is chaya. It's Ein Sof. In the scheme of worlds, Atzilus, Bria Yitir Asiyah, right? Neshama is Bria, so Atzilus is Ein Sof, right? And the Alter Rebbe says, Shebechinas Makif Ma'ala, Ein Sof is Makif. Ve'einu Mesalbesh, the Kli Kal never comes into the Keli in the first place. What your Kli takes from the Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem of Atzilus is only the Naran, not the Chaya. And therefore, when your Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem of an Neshama that Atzilus comes down into this world, it's tzimtzimed. Okay, Kiyim Mitzvah Yuson, you can only have the Mitzias of the Alakus of Atzilus, Al the Chilu Lechim Sichli, when you Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, even if it comes from your Seichel. Okay? So Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and like I said to you before, you'll see later on, this is true also of Teira. As long as it's Teira, which is not a Liba de Hilchas, it's Teira in Allah Sheinam Shchichim, it's the same idea. You only bring down a ha'ara of Alakus of Atzilus. Masha Enkin, when you do a mitzvah, Maisat Yimam Shalom Atzim Hus of Akelim of Atzilus. What about the fact that it says that you could see the back? Now in yesterday's Shiyad, 10 lines ago, where Isa Zachoyre was translated as being ha'ara and chitenius, and now what Isa Zachoyre means, you're seeing the muhus of chitenius of Akelim of Atzilus. He's translating the Isa Zachoyre the opposite we translated it earlier. So the Alter Rebbe answers who b'derech nevuah dafka by Navi. A Navi taka down here can see the Musa of the Alakus of Atzilus, show with pashtus agashmis, which requires to go out of gashmis completely. But I'm him the pashtus mishpat. Okay, so that's a yitzam and a klal. But the klal is stam learning Torah and stam isbonus and stam avos Hashem and yiras Hashem. Even if it's bringing down godliness, it's always going to be tzimtzuming itself from place to place and from level to level. Verstanden? You got it? A little bit, huh? And what is the reason that through Ruchni is the Yiddishkeit of avos Hashem and yiras Hashem? You can't bring down mehusan v'atzmusan dechitenu yusan, which means the chitenu is a pnimius. Like by mitzvahs, the answer is lefisha'i efrel nivel hasik. The moment we're dealing with hasaga, the moment we're dealing with experience, it becomes impossible for any creation to reach klum at all. The essence of godliness, which is the Eibishter. And of course, if you don't understand it intellectually, it hasn't manifested, hasn't been grasped, and you haven't come on with it. When you're doing a mitzvah, even if you don't feel the mitzvah, you've created the godliness. When you're having avos Hashem and yiras Hashem, and you're not feeling avos Hashem and yiras Hashem, you don't have avos Hashem and yiras Hashem. And therefore, when it comes to the experience, there's no way to feel muhusan v'atzmusan dechitenu yusan, and therefore avos Hashem and yiras Hashem and aderach zatera, which is halachas she'enan shchichi, is only mamshich ha'ara ve'insav. When you're doing a practical mitzvah, and you'll see soon again, and when you're learning the deed of the practical mitzvah, you're mamshich muhus l'muhus, kelim of atzilus mamish are brought into asiyah. Mashenkin esrig aderach mashal, as opposed to an esrig. In the esrig, it's not about feeling; it's about creating. Says Rebbe Chayei say it's life. Nimshachov and Ishtalshala was drawn down and manifest in a chain reaction. Mimuhus chitzeni is the kelim, the nukva dezah, and again from the very essence of chitzeni of pnimius of the kelim of Atzilus, and it's literally the kelim of Atzilus and Asiyah. The Atzilus, shu b'chinas alakus, which is godliness. When Shkosa Beitz Chaim, it says in Kabbalah, Shekol HaPeiros, all Peiros saying Atzilus are rooted in Atzilus. And when you do a mitzvah, you're Magala, the Kelim of Atzilus in this Pri. Because it doesn't have to think, because it's a Kli. It is godliness, it's not an experience of godliness. Kilamit Kelim, the Atzilus, the 30 vessels of Atzilus, in other words, the 10 of Nefesh, the 10 of Ruach, 10 of Neshama, which is rooted in He, Yodel Lebyakem and Tibya, Vehein, Yud Mamarash Ben Elim, which become the 10 utterances with which the Eibishter created the world. They slapshus by manifesting Menukva Asiyah in the Kelim of Asiyah, and here's the words, Mehus Mehus. The essence of the Kelim of Atzilus becomes the Kelim of Asiyah. Now that's not true of every Esrei. It's true of those Esreigim from which he does a mitzvah. When he does a mitzvah, he's Megale, and the same is true with the Lulav, the same is true with Truma and Meiser and Chala, from Atzilus to Asiyah, Belish Shinoi, because it's not an Ian of Giluim and Hergish. It just is. Ki HaKelim, the Atzilus, because the vessels of Atzilus themselves, Nasu Neshama Basiyah, they become the soul of Asiyah. She begins Elokus Mamish, which is Mamish godliness. Lefisha Batzilus, Iya V'Gamei Echad, Mi'Hamaitzel V'Anetzal. In Atzilus, there's a unity between Ein Sof and the Kelim. And those Kelim, which are the source of the physical Esregim, is revealed in the physical Esreg when he does a mitzvah. And this is called Mehus L'Mehus. It means the Kelim of Atzilus are in the Esreg. And by the Mehus of the Neshama of Alakus being manifest in the Mehus of the vessels of Malchus of Asiyah, Nisabah Esreg, it creates the physical Esreg. So this is not a ha'ara, it's not mitzias, it's the mehus. Nimtza, in other words, when you hold the esreg and you shake it as you must, you're grasping mamish, the life which is in it, minukva Atzilus, from Malchus of Atzilus, which is one with the Ein Sof, Hamaitzel Baruch Hu. And again, the key point is that the Kelim are the Mehus of Alakus that come down to Asiyah in Eifrim Mehus without Shinoi. It's just that it's passing through the Oir. The Oir carries it, but it's the Mehus of Kelim of Atzilus. Says the Alter Rebbe Mashenka B'Kavanaseh, as opposed to when you're doing a mitzvah of Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, it may be like a wonderful mitzvah, but it's Ruchnius. And because it's Ruchnius, it's V'nech Yafa V'Eifer. And in Masik, you cannot reach V'Teifas and grasp. Af Hayedei Asad, even one who knows the Kabbalah, El Mitziyusa V'lei Mehusa, only it's Mitzias of Alakusa, not its Mehus, okay? As opposed to when you're doing the act. And Alter Rebbe says, however, I want to make a modification. Even though I'm saying that when you do Inyan Ruchni and Yiddishkeit, like Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and Torah, it's only bringing down the Mitzias of Alakus and Asiyah. And when you're doing a mitzvah, it brings down the Mehus of Tasiyah. Says Rebbe, however, but limit halachas esrig. When you learn the dinim of an esrig, it's the same thing as doing the mitzvah of an esrig. Even though learning is seichel, because the key to that learning, of course, is the bittul. Masig v'teifes esrig mamish u'mitzvasei ka'alacha. You are reaching and grasping the esrig itself, and its commandment as halacha is in your speech and your thought, and especially someone who learns the Kabbalah, because Kabbalah is even higher than halacha. But if it's negiyah to halacha l'maiseh, learning the halacha l'maiseh of esrig and the Kabbalah halacha l'maiseh of esrig is bringing down the mehus of kelim of atzilus. Same as maiseh. And the only way I can explain it to you is because that limud is limud bittul. Because it's the kavanah, it's negei l'mais. The kavanah is a part of the mais. You have a negei sakevish pedek lamed what? Ches. Yeah, the kavanah reaches higher than asiyah because the Eibishter wants. The Eibishter wants the kavanah. So when right, exactly.
So theoretically, you could say, what do I need the maisa for?
No, if you don't do the maisa, then Allah is not a libed hilchasa. Of course, yeah, that's right, exactly.
The bittul is not.
Because the whole point of in other words, your limud has bittul or has you. That's the way I explained it. I think it's a pretty credible explanation. If your limud has bittul, it's halacha l'maisa. It doesn't have bittul, it's you.